Hey, it's Jackie with Soluzio. In this video, I'm going to review calendar permission settings and then also talk about maybe how to set up a calendar for website use so that there are public events available, but we might be able to retain privacy of your personal events. I've also got a Google Drive or a Google Workspace settings open here, making some adjustments to the Drive permissions that are being affected this week. So I'm going to go to Calendar. And on this calendar screen, it says external sharing options for primary calendars. My understanding is that the primary calendar, when you look at a calendar account, is this first one. It's attached to the account. If you were to go to delete it, you can remove all the events from the calendar, but you can't ever delete it from the account. So that would be the primary account, per my understanding. Primary calendar on an account. So at this instance, this is just one example. It's set to share all information and allow managing of calendars outside of your domain name or accounts created at your domain name. So if you have a calendar at your domain name address, that's the option. So always internal options are available as well. What are the other options available? If you want a calendar created within your in a Google account within your domain name to have public events available for people to see on the website, you cannot have this first option. The second option should be fine. And then if you're wanting to share editing access with someone outside of your domain name, you would have to allow the third or the fourth option. So I'm not going to make any changes to this account. I just wanted to show that example to see what's available. So inside of your calendar, excuse me, didn't want to cough in the microphone. So inside of your calendar account, that primary email or primary calendar is also going to have the calendar ID of your Google account. I believe that's the case inside of this is a @gmail.com account. I'm looking inside of an @domain account, which we have at Soluzio, and sure enough, it's saying my calendar ID is my email address. So if you don't want your website visitors to know that that's the calendar that you're displaying, we can do a couple of things. One is we can add another calendar. So it's pretty common. We will do this a lot. Okay, so two things you could do. One, if you still have like calendar at yourdomainname.com, you're going to have to set your permissions at the workspace level to make that accessible to public, or make it so that details, all the information can be seen, at least at a minimum. Or make a generic at Google or at gmail.com account, and from there those permissions should already be permissible for you to share well, there is no domain name, so you're not restricted at a domain name. And then, so if people don't know what that email address is, we're going to create a new calendar. We'll often create one called website. Make sure the time zone matches wherever you are at and click on create calendar. It's actually pretty common. We will also usually create another one that is like admin, or it might say internal use only. But again, if you're at a domain name, those settings will apply to any calendar that you create. So over here on the left-hand side of the screen, now that I'm into the settings of this website calendar, we do want to make it public. I'm going to click OK. And actually, forgive me, I'm going to go ahead and turn this one to New York City time, because that's where this particular parish is located. Eastern time. But I also want to go to my general. Before I do any further changes, I'm going to go to the settings here, and this is inside the Google account, or I want to make this Eastern time, New York, as well. That way those match. And when I start making, adding events to this calendar. So now I show over here on the left-hand side, you have your default calendar, birthdays, reminders, and tasks are always going to show up. And then I created the internal one, and then I created a public one. Go back to these settings and sharing. And notice, okay, so this is who has editing access. And you can add people. So if I wanted to add Jackie, I could choose whether to make it so I can only see free and busy, change all events, make changes, or see all event details, make changes to events, or make changes to manage and sharing. So I don't actually want to add myself to that, so I'm not going to do that, but that is a possibility. Scroll down to the bottom. Notice the calendar ID is not linked to an email address. So if for some reason you're visiting a website, let me pull one up that we are working on. That I'm sure I can find the calendar for. So here on this page, if I do a view source and look for google.com and then view this calendar by itself, usually I can identify maybe where this calendar is coming from or what I might have somewhere up in here. So this is going to be the calendar ID of one of these calendars. Or I could look at that same information right here on this screen. So usually we can backtrack and find a calendar ID if it's at a domain name or it's a primary calendar on an account that way. So that's the two things to be considered. I think I thought of another one, but I can't remember what it is. Oh. On the holidays in the United States, I recommend setting this to public holidays only and not including the other holidays. We had a debacle with that this June, so pay attention to that option as well. And then as far as getting this into the website, we're going to go down here, click on Customize. My preference is so we don't see this title right here, especially if you have multiple calendars showing up in your list. We want to uncheck that one. And then I like to take the border off just so it's transitioned smoother on the website screen. You might have noticed here there's no border on the page here, but it is pulling from a couple of different calendars. And then we're going to uncheck the primary calendar, uncheck the internal one. Holidays is always public. I like to make these the citron color. And then the website, I usually like to make this color match whatever site I'm working with. So I'm going to choose blue. I'm going to copy this embed code, and from there, the instructions follow of any of the other ones that I've shared in terms of, I guess you probably couldn't see that over there on the left. All the checkboxes. Uncheck the title, uncheck the border, uncheck any of these on the left-hand side that we don't want to use, and then change the colors. Copy this embed code, and then after you have it copied and you paste into your website, the only other thing I would change is your width. Make your width 100% and your height usually at 800 minimum. If you have a lot of events on your calendar, I've gone as high as like 2400 pixels tall on a page. So I hope that's helpful in terms of setting up your calendar. Let us know if you have questions. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.